Hey everybody, just want to make as short as a video as possible to address the creationist talking point that evolution is mathematically impossible. Is evolution mathematically impossible? Well, creationists will claim that it is, and in order to support this claim mathematically, they will take the low odds of a beneficial mutation, which truly the odds of a beneficial mutation are fairly low. Is this number the correct odds? I don't think so, probably not. But it's a good starting point. So, to support their argument that evolution is mathematically impossible, creationists will claim that the odds of a beneficial mutation are something like 1 in a billion. You got a 1 in a billion chance of having a mutation that's beneficial. Again, is this the actual number? No, I think it's probably much higher than this, but we'll steelman them and say, okay, yeah, the odds of a beneficial mutation are 1 in a billion. And then from there, they'll say, well, you need a huge number of necessary mutations. You need billions of mutations to create a speciation. Well, that's not exactly accurate. You can create a speciation with even just one mutation, like polyploidy would be an example of a single mutation that can cause speciation. But we're, like I said, we're steel manning them, so we'll give them their you need billions of mutations to make speciation happen. So the odds of one mutation happening are 1 in a billion, and you need that to happen billions of times. So evolution is not possible. That you end up with such a ridiculously small number. It's like 1 over 10 to the 19th or 10 to the 18th. So 18 zeros, decimal point, 18 zeros, and then the number 1 is the actual odds of evolution. Well, what creationists forget when they make this claim is that every single time a living system replicates itself, there is a chance of a mutation occurring. So what is wrong with this mathematical calculation is it's treating it as if you're only rolling the dice once, when in reality, you're rolling the dice an outrageous, immense, borderline incalculable number of times. So let's just take humans, for instance. Humans have trillions of cells in their organisms, in their body, the trillions of cellular organisms within one organism. Those cells replicate many times in even just one person. So that's trillions times like a few trillion replications. That's just one individual. The whole species has over 8 billion. Then you have the number of generations for that one species, the few 100,000, and then there's millions of species on the planet. So you end up with a huge number. If you guess that the number of times you'll get to roll the dice is an ungodly huge number, then you guessed correctly. Just based on my calculation going from humans, you're going to end up rolling the dice somewhere around 214 decillion 20 nonillion trials rolls of the dice. So that's 214 with like 34 zeros after it. So you can see that when you consider the number of dice rolls we get to make, that significantly changes the calculation. So when we do some final calculations, the odds of a beneficial mutation occurring significantly increase. The odds of a beneficial mutation occurring when you take into account the massive number of chances for one to occur, it's much, much higher. The odds that you'll end up with literally no beneficial mutations are Euler's constant times raised to the power of 3 times 10 raised to the 6th power. So Euler's constant raised to the 3 billionth power, which is you end up with 1 over 10 to the 1,302nd 850th power. So if you take 1 and you subtract it by the odds that literally no beneficial mutations will occur, you end up with the probability of the beneficial mutation occurring and the probability that evolution will occur. So 1 minus Euler's constant raised to the 3 billionth power, what you're actually subtracting from 1 there is 0, a decimal point, and then 1,302,850 zeros. So 1 minus basically what is essentially asymptotically 0. So 1 minus 0 equals 1. And if you're familiar with statistics, you know that a probability of 1 equals something that's pretty much guaranteed. So when creationists say that evolution is not mathematically possible, they're doing their math very, very wrong. They're treating it like you only get to roll the dice once, when really you get to roll the dice a few hundred decillion times. And when you take into account the sheer massive number of dice rolls, the low probability of a beneficial mutation, and the number of beneficial mutations you need, it becomes supremely achievable. That is to say basically mathematically inevitable. So no, evolution is not mathematically impossible. Evolution is mathematically inevitable.